Sunday, 6 March, The Gap News this morning, broadcasting live from Kuala Lumpur. I'm Ghazali Abdullah. COVID-19 caseload surges to record high. Klang Valley logs over 13,000 infections. Antiviral pills for COVID-19 patients starts this month, says KJ. Thailand, Cambodia BTL starts March 15. Air Asia revives fuel surcharge due to escalating oil prices. Russia continues full-scale attacks as Ukraine residents trapped. Cyberattack knocks thousands offline in Europe. And young swimmer Hao Yen tops men's 100-meter freestyle, beats personal record. And now the news in full. Malaysia has logged another highest daily COVID-19 caseload with 33,290 infections as cases surge in Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Kedah and Johor. COVID Now data also shows another 78 reported deaths, of which 22 are brought-in dead cases. Currently, the cumulative caseload stands at 3,561,766, while the death toll is at 33,106. The country also logged another 17 clusters, mostly education and workplace. According to Health Ministry data, Selangor caseload remains the highest at 8,897, followed by Kuala Lumpur 4,105, Kedah 3,060, Penang 2,592, Johor 2,359 and Sabah 2,131. COVID Now data also shows 292,696 cases are in home quarantine, 3,442 in low-risk treatment and quarantine centres, while 8,524 are hospitalised. Some 137 are in intensive care and 211 are on ventilators. The Health Ministry intends to introduce antiviral medication for the treatment of high-risk COVID-19 patients from this month, Minister Hairi Jamaluddin said Saturday. He said the ministry had reached an agreement with the manufacturer Pfizer on the treatment, adding that the supply of the medication will arrive soon. The first round of use for the treatment of high-risk patients will be carried out in the next 2 weeks. The ministry has ordered over 100,000 antiviral pills and will look to order more depending on its effectiveness, he told reporters after officiating the opening of the National Kidney Foundation's 16th Annual Dialysis Conference Saturday. High-risk patients include the elderly, immune-compromised and those with comorbidities. Malaysia's Air Vaccinated Travel Lane VTL program with Cambodia and Thailand will begin on March 15, the Transport Ministry has announced. In a statement, Transport Minister Wee Ka Siong said fully vaccinated travellers would be allowed to enter the two countries without being required to undergo quarantine upon arrival. He added that this was part of Malaysia's joint efforts with these countries to reopen international borders. For Thailand, we said that both countries had agreed to allocate up to 6 flights daily on the Kuala Lumpur-Bangkok route and up to 4 flights per day for the Kuala Lumpur-Phuket route. Meanwhile, for Cambodia, only 2 flights are allowed per day on the Kuala Lumpur-Phnom Penh route. Air Asia Malaysia will be reintroducing fuel surcharges from Tuesday for all its domestic and international flights to offset escalating jet fuel prices that have exceeded US $120 per barrel. The fuel surcharges will be applicable for new flight bookings made on and after March 8. All bookings made prior to March 8 will not be affected. Fuel surcharge rate for all domestic routes within Malaysia is 10 ringgit, while rates for international flights that are 1 and 2 hours long is fixed at 25 ringgit. Meanwhile, the rates for international flights that are 2 to 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours, and more than 4 hours are 35 ringgit, 50 ringgit, and 60 ringgit respectively, the low-cost airline said in a statement Saturday. Air Asia Malaysia Chief Executive Officer Riyad Azman said airlines the world over are affected by the rising oil prices and the upward spiral caused by the situation in Eastern Europe as well as other external factors. A planned mass evacuation of civilians from Mariupol is aborted as Russia continues shelling the key southern city. People hoping to escape are forced back to their shelters after a planned ceasefire fails to materialize. Civilians have also been unable to leave the nearby city of Volnovakha. Heavy bombardments have been reported at Irpin, a town on the northwestern outskirts of Kiev. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin has warned the West he would regard any no-fly zone over Ukraine as an act of war. Ukraine's president has repeated his call for a no-fly zone. Western leaders say they don't want to make the situation worse. Thousands of internet users across Europe have been thrown offline after what sources said Friday was a likely cyber attack at the beginning of Russia's offensive in Ukraine. According to Orange, nearly 9,000 subscribers of a satellite internet service provided by its subsidiary Notnet in France are without internet following a cyber event on February 24 at Viasat, a US satellite operator of which it is a client. Eutelsat, the parent company of the Big Blue satellite internet service, also confirmed to AFP on Friday that around one-third of Big Blue's 40,000 subscribers in Europe, in Germany, France, Hungary, Greece, Italy and Poland were affected by the outage on Viasat. In the US, Viasat said on Wednesday that a cyber event had caused a partial network outage for customers in Ukraine and elsewhere in Europe who rely on the Carsat satellite. Viasat gave no further details, saying only that police and state partners had been notified and were assisting with investigations. And now for some sports news. Young swimmer from Kuala Lumpur, Q Hao Yen, continued his excellent pace to top the men's 100-meter freestyle event at the 64th Malaysian Open Championships at the National Aquatics Centre Saturday. The 19-year-old clocked in at 50.35 seconds, his best personal record, to emerge champion and surpass the qualifying time to Category B for the World Championships, which is 50.48 seconds. The victory also saw Hao Yen once again beat Olympian and national record holder Welsam Sim, who grabbed silver at 51.11 seconds, while Eng Shin-jen, Terence, 51.52 seconds from Selangor took home the bronze. To end the bulletin, here are the headlines again. COVID-19 caseload surges to record high. Klang Valley logs over 13,000 infections. Antiviral pills for COVID-19 patients starts this month, says KJ. Thailand-Cambodia VTL starts March 15. AirAsia revives fuel surcharge due to escalating oil prices. Russia continues full-scale attacks as Ukraine residents trapped. Cyberattack knocks thousands offline in Europe. And young swimmer Hao Yen tops men's 100-meter freestyle, beats personal record. This has been the Gap News this morning, Sunday, 6 March. The Gap News is also available on the internet news portal Melaka Hari Ini. Podcasting live from Kuala Lumpur, I'm Ghazali Abdullah.